Hello, One Piece enthusiasts. I am the One Piece nerd, and today let's talk about chapter 1055. So, 1054 was a banger. It was definitely a banger. 1055 is a bigger banger. What can I say? So, let's just dive onto it. Um, the lore drop at the beginning of the chapter with Robin Law and, Odin's father, whose name I cannot remember, Sukiyaki, right? Sukiyaki, Law, and Robin exploring the undergrounds of Wano, and we get to see the lore. We finally get to see what the what the boundaries of Wano is, what the boundary of Wano is, or whatever the boundary is. And I always thought it was something to do with some sort of a border surrounding the waterfall, some way, shape, or form breaking down the waterfall and turning it into a landscape sort of thing. I always thought it was something like that, but it never really had much of a significance until now. Now we know the true history of Wano. Now we know what the real Wano looks like. We know what it means when the walls will be broken and opening the borders and, freeing Pluton. So, from the looks of it, here's a little mini theory. Pluton is a creature, the same way that Poseidon was a mermaid princess, Shirahoshi, who could control sea kings. I think the same could be said for Pluton. Now, I'm not sure how the blueprints make sense because if Pluton is not a ship, or rather something alive, I don't know what the blueprints would do. Or if I'm remembering correctly, the blueprints were something about countering Pluton. I think it was something like that. Anyways, that aside, now that we know that, if we break down the water right now, the water that has been that submerged the Wano country of 800 years ago would now resurface, and we would actually get a proper landscape of it. And it would be easier for our enemies to attack. Pluton would be released, and it'd be, chaos all over the world. Now, with Momonosuke deciding to close down the borders and not deciding to open it, and Zunisha not being present at the moment, I believe it is highly unlikely that the borders would be open anytime soon. That being said, there are possibilities that, Momonosuke brings Zunisha back and opens the borders and, does whatever is necessary to benefit Luffy and the others. Well, that welcomes trouble. That welcomes trouble, and I don't think Momonosuke is prepared to make that sort of a commitment, especially considering he's having such a hard time with the Admiral. Now, it's a good transition to now talk about Green Bull versus the Akazaya 9 and Momonosuke. The fight, Momonosuke's entire character arc after he grew up is amazing. The development he's had is fantastic, phenomenal. Every single thing he says actually makes a lot of sense. I like the fact that he's determined to protect his own country without taking help from the people that actually saved Wano from a tyrant. I like the fact that he wants to depend on himself and the 900 Scabbards in order to beat anyone that rivals them or anyone that tries to invade Wano. And after all this talk, it's always been talk after talk after talk. In Zoe, it was always his mouth running, saying that he wanted to be this strong, he wanted to do this, he wanted to do that. And in Act 1 and Act 2, it's always the same. He wanted to do this, to do that, get stronger, participate in the war, but it was never anything it was never something that he could do physically. It was never possible for him. He did never have the power. And now that he does, he's actually showing it. Yeah, he controlled flame clouds. He can now control being a dragon. He's grown up, whatever, whatnot. But we needed to see him in action. And I think this proved it justice. I think this proves Momonosuke's character. It gave him justice for the amount of build-up we've had for him. And I really appreciate it. And man, 4 consecutive Boro breaths, that's impressive. Kyle himself didn't pull it off. I mean, maybe he didn't want to. Maybe it takes a lot out of you, but hey, Momonosuke's first. Second try to pull off Boro breath and putting it off 4 or 5 times, sort of like Black Flash from Jujutsu Kaisen. It's quite a big feat. And, you know, I really wanted the fight to prolong. If it was Momonosuke versus some sort of a vice admiral and the fight went on, dragged on, and we got to see Momonosuke's power, I would have been happy. I would have been very happy if he actually won a fight. But the way the fight was interrupted by Shanks, I can't complain really. I really can't complain. Because, man, it's Shanks. Every single time, after what happened in chapter 1, every single time Shanks showed up after that, it was always big news, big news, big news, big news, big things, and incredible stuff continues. So, with that being said, let's talk a little bit about Green Bull's character. The introduction of him, considering everyone else fathers and everyone other than admirals or yonkos to be below him, that concept was, I would say, pretty strong. It was sort of in the face sort of deal. He was confident he was gonna win if it wasn't gonna be any Yonko, and he showed himself to be rough and tough, and we got to see his ideals. It was a very short journey for his character to basically Oda to just explain whatever his character meant, and well, I appreciated it until now. Shanks showing up, showing his Conqueror's Haki from, I would say, about more than 4 or 5 kilometers away from the mainland of Wano, and that affecting him so much to the point where he wants to retreat. Okay, that's giving me bad buzz. Like, he was super hyped. I wanted him to be super hyped. I wanted him to basically show off more and actually do something in the grand scheme of things, so that Luffy or the others could show up and help them up a bit, and then something could have happened. But for Green Bull to just run away with Shanks using Conqueror's Haki 4 to 5 kilometers away from the mainland of Wano, I don't know how I should feel about that. If you're strong by will, you're going to be showing up against everyone. Luffy doesn't consider anyone weak. I mean, he does. He considered Bellamy to be weak. But he never gave up on fighting against admirals. Fought off against Aokiji, Kizaru, and Akainu at the same time. He was never afraid. But Green Bull being sort of like that, I don't mind the fact that he considers everyone else other than Yonkos to be fighters, but the fact that he gives up so quickly when he meets a Yonko puts him off a bit. It shows more about Shanks than about Green Bull. On the one hand, I really appreciate the fact that Shanks got to show off his Conqueror's Haki. We've never seen anything like this before. On the other hand, we've had such an admiral showing so much courage and so much potential from, the end of the raid till now. From, 7 days later, New Dawn till now. I have mixed feelings about Green Bull. But the moment was huge. When you know a character's Conqueror's Haki or Haki, or that character is strong, when he can show off his Conqueror's Haki from 10 kilometers away and opponents still running away. Opponents at the level of admirals. That being said, admirals shouldn't be, underestimated. I have a video planned up. I was supposed to make this in the break. Stuff went down. Anyways, I still have a video coming up for the admirals, and make sure to keep a close eye on that. As after that, I mean, the thing that highlighted me for the whole chapter, the thing that highlighted the whole chapter for me was basically Shanks using Conquerors. That's it. That is basically it. I like the fact how with only one stare, with only one shockwave, he was able to make an admiral retreat. Now, if it was Kizaru or Akainu, maybe, they would have given it a shot. It's Aramaki, he's new, he probably doesn't have that much willpower as much as, Kizaru or Akainu. Maybe goes to show that they might have had Conquerors, they might have Conquerors Haki, but with him giving up so easily, he's not a good candidate. But a good introduction, good line of fear nonetheless, and Shanks being cool all the way through, cannot complain. 10 out of 10 chapter. The bombshell of, Wano and everything, I really liked it. I wanted to be more, explored a little bit more. That's it for this video. I have extended thoughts that will be coming up within the week. If you guys enjoyed, please make sure to like and subscribe. Have a great day, and peace.